Hi, my name's Mark Wood and I'm from Dubai College. It's a school in Dubai, obviously, but something that I do other than being a teacher is that I've established with a couple of colleagues of mine this idea of Spark. Spark is an event that we set up last year, and it's simply a teach meet but over here in the UAE. I say the UAE, we've now got Sparks going on in Doha, we've got Sparks going on in Bahrain, and we're hopefully going to have a Spark going on in the UK in September. So I just want to start by telling you a little bit about what Spark is. I won't take very long. In fact, I'm just going to time myself. And then we're going to run a little mini Spark today. Okay, so I came out to Dubai about 5 years ago and realised very quickly that there wasn't much CPD on offer. There wasn't very many courses that I could attend to develop myself as a teacher. And if I wanted to attend them, my school didn't actually have the budget to send me on them. So about a year ago, myself and two of my colleagues got our heads together and said, let's set up a teach meet in Dubai, which is basically where you get a room like this and you invite teachers to come to that room and share ideas about what they're doing in their classroom to improve teaching and learning. And so we got in touch with a few schools, and we did quite well with our first event. We had 55 teachers attend our first event, and now I want you to just imagine what that's like. We had 55 teachers presenting like I am now, sharing ideas, collaborating with each other on a weekend, so we didn't take them out of their school time, and then they were ideas that we could then go and explore afterwards. So the rules of a Spark are this: if you want to come to one of our events, it's all free. You sign up at our website. You can present for 2 or 7 minutes on anything you like, as long as it has a focus on teaching and learning. The idea behind that is that we were also talking about when we go to these CPD events, sometimes we go there and we have to listen for 4 or 5 hours to someone talk about something that we're not necessarily that interested in. So the idea of these short, snappy presentations just gives you a little bit of an insight into what that teacher's doing. And if you want to find out more, you can approach them after they've done their presentation and find out more about it. So, as I've said, we've actually had quite a few Spark events now. The first one we had 55 teachers, and we did that in Sharjah. So there's a school in Sharjah called Sharjah English School, and we just got a room like this. 55 teachers came along from 10 different schools and talked about what they were doing in their classroom. We had about 15 presentations. Fantastic. Second one we did was at my school, and we had 155 teachers come in a bit of a bigger room than this, and we had about 20 presentations. We had teachers from 30 different schools attend. The third one that we did was hosted by the School of Research Science. Rachel Edgar, who's going to present today, hosted that one. We had 275 teachers attend that one on a weekend in a big auditorium, just sharing ideas about what they do in their classroom. We then had very exciting, someone in Doha actually attended our SRS event, and they actually did a Spark event in Doha that I actually went to, and it was fantastic, and they're actually going to host another one this year as well. We had an event at GES, at the GES Education Conference not so long ago, which went quite well. And then we've attended every What Works this year, and we've met over 300 teachers in that time and just shared good practice. So that's what Spark's all about. It's just teachers stood up, tell you about what they're doing in their classroom, but keeping it short and sweet. So today we're going to run a little mini Spark. We have 5 presentations for you, each lasting 7 minutes. So again, if it's not something that takes your interest, you can switch off for 7 minutes, and then hopefully there is one that'll take your interest afterwards. And so we'll start. So for 7 minutes, our first presentation, with a focus on the entrepreneurship that we've got going through the focus today, is going to be Ian Plant and some of his students from Sheffield Private School, talking about something that he's implementing in his school. Thank you. Hear any strange music? I'm going to just start some music off if this presentation runs over 7 minutes, so we can keep to the time frame.
Okay, good morning. Thanks, Mark. The last Spark conference I went to was here at Zayed University, and I was sort of taken back by how much collaboration was going on between teachers. But what particularly stood out in my mind was one student who was the guest speaker for the conference in the main auditorium, and she was talking about science and maths and just blew everyone away. Perhaps some of you saw that. And as I left the conference hall with Spark in my mind, I thought, it's great that teachers share things and collaborate, but surely the people that are most interested in all of this are students, and they're the ones that have some of the best ideas. And consequently, we came up with the idea of introducing MiniSpark, or Spark Mini, in which students will design the conferences and lead the conferences and collaborate and share their ideas with other students and with teachers and with parents. And the three girls that I brought this morning are from our Gifted and Talented team, and have come up with a brilliant idea to host the next MiniSpark conference.
Thanks, sir. Hello, everybody. I'm Malvika. So, as we've already established what Spark is, an event hosted by teachers for teachers, we were thinking that it's for educators to share, collaborate, and explore ideas. But we thought, why stop there? Why not take it to the next level? Why not build on that? And keeping those questions in mind, we were able to create this idea, inspired by the concept of Spark itself, called MiniSpark, by the Gifted and Talented group at the Shetland Private School, and with great input from Mr. Plant himself. So our aim was to emulate at a mini level Spark and encourage our students, our fellow classmates, to just share ideas and collaborate. Then we thought that together we can take learning to the next level, and if given the right support from Spark, which I'm sure, we can change learning completely. Now I'm going to pass it on to a fellow MiniSpark, because sometimes all it takes is a MiniSpark to cause a large fire.
Hi everyone, I'm Ria. So as you just heard from Malvika, we were inspired to start something called MiniSpark. So you're probably wondering how this came about. So it happened really during one of our very first Gifted and Talented meetings. Mr. Plant was just briefing us on the previous Spark session, and we just loved the idea that there was a place teachers could come and share their ideas and just, offer new approaches to learning and teaching. So that's where MiniSpark began. Over the past 2 months, we've been working very closely with Mr. Plant to develop this idea further by gathering speakers, looking at inspiration, the topic focus, where we're going to hold the venue. So that's how we've been working together as a team very hard to work on this and hopefully develop it into something bigger, to provide students a platform where they can share their ideas in a clear, structured way, as well as learn from one another, both teachers and students. So I'll pass it on to Carissa now.
Hi, my name is Carissa, and we've learned what MiniSpark is and how it came about. But why did we put together MiniSpark? Why MiniSpark? Well, we wanted to create a haven for the sharing of new ideas, a place where both students and teachers learned, oftentimes from each other, about knowledge and how to share it and how to absorb it without making the actual learning process itself difficult and painful. But above all, the reason that Spark exists today and why we want to keep it running for many more years to come is because we want to give the students a chance to shine. The students to shake off all the arcane rules surrounding education and to bring it back to what education should really be about, which is knowledge and the sharing. Thank you.
Well done, girls. Like the girl said, at the last What Works conference, one of our Year 6 students came up with the theme, or the slogan, "It's our chance to shine," and we loved that, and we took it straight away, and that's what's going to drive this next conference. And the actual topic that presentations are going to be about is learning through technology. So if any of your students in your school would like to present on a large scale to other students, teachers and parents, possibly here at Zayed University, or we're looking at Heriot Watt. Please leave your contact details at the end of this MiniSpark session, and we'd love to invite you. Thank you.
That is something that I'm very excited about. The idea of Spark, again, was for teachers by teachers, but I just think that the students, or by students, has got so much more potential, so I'm very excited about that. Next up, host for our largest Spark event yet, and she's going to be talking about growing great teachers. Or 7 minutes.
Good morning. Wow, by the way. I've got a tough act to follow there, haven't I? My name's Rachel Edgar. I'm Head of Teaching and Learning at the School of Research Science, which is in Alcazades. My presentation is not about student entrepreneurship, apologies. It's more about teachers, and it's about how we as school leaders can encourage innovation and risk-taking amongst our teachers, and it will probably give you a bit of an insight into the professional development programme at SRS, and also about what we sort of see as important. I first came into contact with this organisation last summer. They contacted me through my Twitter account. I've got a professional Twitter account called Dubai Teach Me, and I sometimes get companies send me stuff through inbox, and quite often they're trying to sell me something. And I kind of tend to ignore quite a lot of it. But this caught my eye, and I had a conversation on the phone with a guy called David Weston, who's the CEO for the National Teacher Inquiry Network, the Teacher Development Trust. What we're trying to move away from in our school, and I'm sure quite a few schools are doing this too, is the traditional top-down model for CPD, and that is SLTs like myself, Head of Teaching and Learning, delivering workshops to staff because I know best, okay, and moving away from that assumption and encouraging and empowering our teachers more with their own professional development. And this approach takes into consideration something called lesson study. And lesson study is something I've become more and more interested in over the past few months. And it's coaching triads, essentially. 3 teachers who will follow a particular format, so they plan a lesson together. It's usually useful if they belong to the same subject, for example, so you get sort of a science issue. You plan the lesson together, you look at what the issue is, and you plan it. You then watch somebody teach it within the triad, and then you evaluate it afterwards. You focus on some key sort of students, so you pick out your 3 students that you're going to focus on, and then you evaluate it afterwards. And something that's sustained, empowering teachers, encouraging them to take risks with their teaching. Another thing I'm very passionate about is moving away from observation as an accountability measure and using it more as a developmental tool for teachers. N10 provide a lot of things. They don't just provide you help with your lesson study. They also provide a great deal more than that. I'm going to come back to that in a minute. They audit your CPD programme, okay? So you can accredit your CPD programme. This audit is actually available on their website, and you can see what whether you're bronze, silver, or gold, essentially, where you're at in terms of your school, in terms of its professional development. As I said, they provide a great deal of help with lesson study. The opportunity to connect with other schools. Since I've arrived in Dubai, I've been here for about 18 months, I've fought hard for schools to collaborate with each other. Spark is a brilliant way of doing that, what works, but also to try and formalise a more established partnership between schools. Now, N10 currently only operate in the UK. They want to offer schools out here a kind of virtual membership of their organisation. I'm not selling you anything. I don't work for them. There is a small cost involved in this, and if anyone is interested, then see me about it afterwards. But as I said, I don't work for them. I just passionately believe that what they're doing with a lot of schools in the UK, when what I've seen over the last year through looking at things like Twitter and the blog posts that people are writing about this from outstanding schools in the UK, I do believe that it works. Let me go back a sec. Okay. So yeah, I'm trying to establish a partnership between schools perhaps coaching players across different schools within Dubai. There's a lot of innovation going on at the moment. Spark is an innovation from Mark Wood and his colleagues. Desk, TechFest. I'm trying to establish an SLT version of a teach meet. There's lots of things going on, and we want to connect more teachers together. So if you are interested in finding a little bit more about lesson study, about perhaps exploring this idea of belonging to the National Teacher Inquiry Network, putting teachers at the heart of their own development, then do give me a shout. If you log on to the Teacher Development Trust website, there's loads of information on there if you think your school might be interested. And also, if you are on Twitter, and if you're not, I suggest you get an account. But Head Guru Teacher, who's Tom Sherrington, who's the head teacher of Kegg School in the UK, and also a girl called Rachel Stevens, they've written blogs, and it's well embedded, this practice of lesson study, within their school, so if you want to find out a little bit more about it. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Classic example there of, I didn't know what Rachel's presentation was about, but that's really took my interest there actually. So again, it's that idea of just sharing one little idea, and then if you want to find out more, as Rachel said, she's there to talk to you afterwards if needed. Okay, so next up, if my presentation loads, we've got Laura, Hamish and Marina from Sheffield Private School, and they're going to talk about Junior Apprentice competition.
Okay, good morning everyone. Thanks for coming along. We are focusing today on something we run in school called Junior Apprentice Competition. It's it's a competition that we do with Year 6s. It's been running for a few years, like 3 years or so now, and it kind of works in collaboration between the Year 6 teachers and the PTA. We run it on the Family Fun Day in February or March every year. The initial idea actually came from an Irish teacher who'd followed a similar sort of scheme before she moved out to the UAE. She's now moved on, but we've kept up with the idea, and it's kind of getting bigger and better every year. And the objective, which fits in nicely with today, is to foster values of enterprise and entrepreneurship in a real-life setting within the primary school. We're supported by the school, and we kind of collaborate together by using the Family Fun Day as the venue. It's not just the students who work, but also other businesses and sort of community enterprises come in. And so you've got all of these 3 different groups competing against each other on the day. What I've done today is put together a presentation of myself, Laura, who's head of Year 6, and Marina, who's head of the PTA, and a few videos of students from Year 6 who are talking about the kind of process that they went through. So first up is Islam.
When we first heard of Junior Apprentice, we thought we couldn't put it on. Well, one, because we had no experience in something like what we're going to do. And once we got to the task, we actually learned a lot about teamwork and working together. We also had to take into consideration all the money that we have to spend and making good decisions. Because the decisions that we made would affect our whole process. The most important part of our task was to come up with a successful game that would actually bring a crowd and a lot of people.
Okay, he goes a bit shy at this point. Yeah, we have the basic premise is that each class sets up a game. They think of the game, they present it to the SLT and to the secondary business studies teachers or different people, and then they have a bit of input. They have a bit of input from parents about what might work as a business, and then they spend a few weeks in lesson time and at home time honing their idea, honing their game and their presentation skills before they take it and set up the stall at the Family Fun Day. So there's quite a lot of collaboration between the different groups, as I say. between students within their groups. It's quite a long-term, kind of a long-term group work activity. Parents and teachers work together. It's also like a long-term homework task, because a lot of the preparation has to be done at home. And between students and teachers, whilst there's very little direct instruction, Laura's going to talk about how a lot of things are worked into the curriculum throughout literacy and numeracy and a few other things. But next up we've got Hania, who's going to talk about her skills and techniques.
As we are children, creating our own games and learning them is very challenging. We have used persuasive techniques to attract young children. The preparations were outstanding. First, we did create a very big role on that very day. Using posters, offers, and a lovely way of document, every group was able to attract customers, attracting them contentment and frequency. We have produced a new generation of adults who those are customers for those who want to have fun. Those who want to have fun and fill the world with happiness. The effort added into every team's project was outrageous. The prizes did affect the amount of customers that we got. However, everyone enjoyed this special occasion. The experience we have been through couldn't be possibly explained.
Okay, next up.
So the Year 6 students in our school, we do SATs, and that's, some parents were a little bit dubious about us pulling away from practicing SATs, doing the work for it. But if you look at the screen, the idea of Junior Apprentice fits in really well with the curriculum. We look at persuasive language, advertisements, speaking and listening, which is really important within our school where majority are EAL. We look at the budgeting for numeracy, ICT, PSHE. But the biggest thing, which is a big topic for KHDA, is real life learning. The children understood why we learn maths, why we learn different things in literacy, and they put it all together for their project. So they actually saw a reason for doing what they need to do every day.
Next up is Shahina.
On the day Junior Apprentice took place, we were all very nervous and very excited. Everything depended on our preparations and our advertisements. Cards were given out and tickets were bought. Everything depended on how your stall was, not so Moses. Last minute resources were taken care of, and it all depended on which game the people preferred the best. There were stalls who were just packed with people and customers, while others were just empty. Everything we planned and worked for was determined on this day, whether we were worth it or not. It was an experience we would never forget. A day where only one team would succeed in making the most money. A day where teamwork was judged and memories were made. A perfect day for Junior Apprentice.
Okay, and Marina?
The Parent-Teacher Association sponsored this event. We give the initial capital of 300 dirhams for each team. And then also at the end we reward the kids, the winners, and we sponsor these prizes. There's a panel of judges, the teachers and parents, and we judge business concepts of presentation, marketing, accountancy, and many more. And those are the best prizes basically that we give. The initial capital of 300 dirhams are used to set up their stall and buy prizes and things for the games. And this year we actually raised over the Junior Apprentice teams, the businesses raised over 5,000 dirhams from the 12 companies they had. The winning team themselves had a profit of 864 dirhams. This concept we would like to take further into through to other schools in Dubai, and we hope to see some of the schools joining Junior Apprentice.
Okay, thanks. And just to finish off, we've got our final student, Haya.
On that very day that our performances were up to the public, we left our footprint marking that very moment and leading to a new mindset with the skills and knowledge of the world's business problems. We learned how to persuade, how to adapt your money and budget, how to deal with tough customers too. The biggest thing we learned about is teamwork. Some found it easy working in a team, but some struggled a lot. The Eagle of Hilarity had been produced because us kids, with the easiest lives ever, had just established what our elders go through to make our lives superior and privileged. If this project took place in almost all the schools, it would give some sense of money and entrepreneurial skills to the students. Thank you.
Okay, right, and that's us. Thank you very much.
Okay, next up we have Nicola and Rina from Dubai British School, and they're going to talk about Achievers International.
Okay, good morning everyone. We're here to talk to you about a new enterprise project that we launched this year called Achievers International. Initially we started with it just being in business studies, and what we wanted to do was just to bring business studies to life. We kind of run enterprise events before, but we just wanted to make it a bit more exciting. So Achievers International is a charity set up in the UK to try and bring business to life for students. And essentially the premise of it is that you are set up with a partner school around the world, and the students set up their own international business, and essentially they have to import and export products. So my group got set up with a school in Atlanta. Nicola's groups got set up with a school in the UK and the Philippines. And what we did was we actually ran it through our curriculum. So, you know, for example, we would have 2 lessons on learning the theory about market research. Then 1 lesson would be spent on actually doing market research on the products that we would like to import from the US or the Philippines and the UK. However, we found that they had a huge amount of cross-curricular links, which we're going to talk to you a bit about later on in this presentation.
During the process, we set it up as if it was a real business, which essentially it is. The students began off by writing their own job descriptions for the different roles, and then having to go through the recruitment process. We included bringing people in from outside school, people from industry, to put them through an actual recruitment and selection process. So the students were interviewed. They had to dress up for the day and went through quite a stressful interview process. Positions were then appointed, so we had a CEO, finance directors, marketing directors, sales directors, and from there the CEO took on kind of a HR role as well, and monitored performance and essentially appraised workers during the course of the programme. We did find that sometimes the directors weren't pulling their weight, and that we had disciplinary procedures. One of our directors was fired and someone else was reappointed, so it got quite serious. In terms of market research then, the students had to find a product that they thought would sell in the other country that we have here in Dubai, and then vice versa, a product that they have, for example, in the Philippines that would sell here in Dubai. And that became quite a challenge, because how do they know what products they have in the Philippines that there would be a market for in the UAE? And it was quite a taxing process for them. In addition to the market research, then had to think about company names, branding, logos, packaging, and quite a lot of other things as well. They then had to raise their own finance. We gave them no money. The school offered them a loan, but there was an interest charge on that loan, so some of them chose not to take it. And they did things like bake sales, a year 5 and 6 disco, a cinema evening, and they had to make their own money, which then would allow them to trade. They didn't have any money, they couldn't do the trade. And then, of course, they had to start thinking about potential sales, how they should order, the tax implications of importing and exporting, things that they've never ever considered before and you wouldn't normally teach within a normal context. They learnt a huge variety of skills, as well as just the basic business studies skills that they were learning in theory and now putting into practice. They also learned about communication, things like emailing another country and being aware of the time differences. One of our CEOs is a typical teenage boy, and he was quite straight to the point on some of his emails, and they were taken perhaps out of context when they were received in another country. So it was one of those things where you had to say to them, well, what is your business language? How are you going to make sure that this error in communication doesn't happen again? And it was those practical skills that they learned that we couldn't have possibly taught them through a normal teaching I think one of the biggest things I got out of it was the leadership skills. Our CEO, who you'll see, one of our CEOs, who you'll see in a minute, they've just thrived. They've really taken on board their position. They force us to hold board meetings on a regular basis, regardless of whether we want them or not. And they really have thrived on that, allowing them to lead their own business.
Okay, yeah, I'm just going to talk to you a bit more about the cross-curricular links, because I really wanted to show our head that taking students out of lessons was having an impact across the school. So here is some of the planning for one of the fundraising things that we did, which was a link with the primary school, and they organised a year 5 and 6 cinema evening. So as you can see, there was links with ICT because they were working out budgets and costs per student. Sorry, next one, miss, thank you. And we had a link with art as well, because they essentially dressed our auditorium. The film that they were showing was Despicable Me, so they actually created tons of posters and packaging there. And it was just a lovely snapshot. It created a real buzz in the classroom, and as Nicholas said, they take things really seriously. We have a board meeting every Wednesday. I often have our 2 CEOs coming in, or our select senior leadership team that they like to call themselves, coming in to talk about strategy and how they deal with people not pulling their weight. We also just had a cake sale, which our PFA kindly gave the Palm Trading, which is their business, a free stall. So even though it was quite a basic concept, you know, they managed to get cakes from everyone in the class. They set up their stall again. Sorry, a couple more. Yeah, just some more advertising for them, and I think we've got a video of our CEO talking about what he learned.
Maybe we could get a video about the meeting. How they
Oh, I wasn't allowed to film that. That was a secret board meeting.
Was it? Oh yeah.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
And I'm the CEO of our company, which is called MAND, which stands for the Houses in Our School. We are trading with another school in London called Ryburn Valley High School, and we have been importing and exporting products from each other to try to make a profit. But what I've enjoyed in this project is that we have been able to contact the other school, which was fun, and we saw what they were doing well, but we also gave them points how they could improve, and they did the same for us. And then we made a video introducing ourselves in Dubai, which I really enjoyed making. I also liked getting the market research around our school to see what products we would do, and so far it's been a great experience.
Okay, so it is a charity, and there's a guy called Kevin that runs it from the UK who's really good. It cost us £50 per class to set up, so it wasn't a huge amount of money. And on the website you can get loads of, or the kids can download, you know, how to create a business plan, how to create a budget. So if you want any extra information, please contact myself or Nicola, and we'd be happy to pass on any schemes of work if you're interested in setting this up. Thank you very much.
We have one presentation for you left to go, and that is from students at my school, at Dubai College. We have Saad, Ellen and Harry, and they're going to talk about their DC business.
Right, thank you. Thank you all for coming today. Today we're going to be speaking about our school business, which we set up in the last few months. So the other day I was talking to one of my teachers, and I was just saying that the best teachers, in my opinion, are those who remember being students. And although this may be very long ago for some of them, he essentially agreed with me. And this is because they can learn a lot from students. And so I think us speaking here today can be beneficial to all of you, because you can learn what is a completely student-run business, and you can hear from our perspective what we do and how we think it benefits us, and how you could maybe implement it in your school. My name's Sadiq Ba. I'm the CEO of our company. This is Harry. He actually came up with the concept of the company, and he runs accounting and everything to do with numbers. And that's Ellen Burley. and she does everything to do with design, product management, marketing, etc. So without further ado, Harry's going to talk to you about why he started the business.
Well, to start off with, I was the only member of the business because nobody else bothered to sign up. But after speaking with our head of sixth form, who was the front runner for this idea, trying to get students involved and to create what was effectively a business simulation of how a business works, about different roles and how people get involved and how they communicate, and trying to produce something, with the target being that we produce something for our school, for students, for teachers, for parents, and for alumni. Now, my key role in the startup was just to collect names, to collect what people wanted to do, their ideas, and what they wanted to be involved with, and how they thought the business should be run, where it should go. I was also involved in the accountancy, but I'll speak more on that later.
Okay, well, I am in charge of basically deciding what products and designs that we're going to try and put forward for our business. So we came up with multiple ideas, such as bags, slogans on our school slogan, so sort of puns and things that would make them entertaining, something that people would want to buy, books, things that really appeal to students in that sort of environment within the school, pens that match our DC colours, and but a design that we've all really liked and something that we're all very interested in doing at the moment is water bottles, because although they're not as aesthetic or maybe interesting as a product might be, but they are products that have a function, they're needed, they're something that people would buy, and when we did research into it, we saw that quite a lot of kids were really into it, and especially the younger years, they saw it as something they didn't have but they wanted, and they wanted it now. So it's something that we're looking into, and we're also considering whether we want to buy in from England or maybe America, or whether we're going to go to local companies, but it just depends whether we are looking to spend that kind of money or we want the more aesthetic side, which comes from generally places like America. But how we're funding it is down to Harry, and he is accountancy.
Well, as I was undermined by Saad as CEO, I was delegated the role of accountancy, where I was supposed to figure out things like decide what market research should be looking into, what our priorities were in terms of costs, what we were actually willing to spend, how we would get the money. Key issues with things like money is we had effectively two options. The school was offering us money from our sixth form budget, but that wasn't made very clear to us how that would function. Our alternative, of course, was to have the members of the business contribute to a buy-in, where everyone receives equal shareholding of the business by chipping in a certain amount of money to support its initial costs. And of course, what we were interested in spending money on was purchasing our first set of products, which would have been a range of, as Ellen just explained, DC branded bottles. And that's pretty much my role as accountant.
Okay, since the business is essentially completely student-run, very little input from teachers other than general supervision, I guess, it's natural for teachers to be worried about a bunch of crazy youths controlling the business. So what I'm going to talk about for the next 2 minutes and 18 seconds is about a general frequently asked questions that I've compiled myself. So something you may ask is, how does the business run on a day-to-day basis? We meet every Monday during our own lunchtimes, but by every Sunday I've compiled an agenda which is typed up, which gives our meeting a lot of structure, so I can go through it, tick it off, make sure we stick to our times. I also got sheets where I keep note of official minutes of what happens in every meeting. And so we can reflect back on this, and it's very organized in nature. Harry already spoke about where the money is going to come from, but again, the prospect of the sixth form budget, we're going to have to work for it. Myself, accounting, finance, everyone, we're going to have to make a business plan. We can't just go up to our headmaster and say, hey, can we have some money? Because he's probably not going to give it to us, because it's not trustworthy or dependable. So if I compile and organize something and do it properly, as all students should do, then we can build from there. However, right now we're leaning to the buy-in, which Harry talked about. Then there's the obvious question about we're at school to learn maths and English and history, etc. So why should we run this business? Well, we learn a lot, and as the speakers have said before us, there's a lot of extra stuff you learn from maths, management, just general design stuff from Ellen's perspective. Crudely, it is an extra responsibility to take on. So the people that do it have to be committed, they have to want to do it, and they have to enjoy it. But because everything's organized, we do function well, and our time management is good. There are 15 members of our business, and everyone has our own job. So one of the very first things I did was I made a corporate organogram where everyone was designated a role and they stick to it. And this doesn't discourage interdepartmental idea sharing, which I guess what Spark is all about. What we're going to sell, if you just want to flick through the products. So generally, we're going to function in blocks. So this will help us with time management as well. So as our exams are coming up, we're going to start with quite a low-risk, easy product to sell, which are the water bottles. So our first block is from the 21st of April to the 21st of June. And this gives us the Easter break to prepare our stock and sell, and get everything ready for that one block selling. Selling in blocks also helps because it's seasonal. So the block where when we come back in autumn, it can be a build-up to Christmas, for example, or it could be a build-up to New Year, where one of our main ideas is to sell calendars, which has photos all to do with our school, which are relatable to the people who buy them. Because at the end of the day, we want people to...
Thank you, guys. And that wraps up what Spark is all about, really. Some very short, snappy presentations that hopefully have found some interest to most of you. If I can just draw your attention to our website. So just to wrap up in 2 minutes. Spark is just like this. Get some teachers together and share some ideas. 2 or 7 minutes. What you can do on our brand new website is you can actually host a Spark yourself. So my long-term vision for Spark, when I first sat down with Lee and Mark, when we set this up, we said, wouldn't it be good to get 100 teachers together in a room? That actually happened within 2 months of setting up Spark. Our next long-term vision is that wouldn't it be good if we could have a Spark event going on every week across the world? So the idea of the new website is that you could actually host a Spark yourself. So from the homepage of the website, if you want to simply, I'll just zoom out so you can see it a little bit better. If you want to host a Spark, you simply click on host, click here to host a Spark, fill in the details, say right, well you need an account as well, say where you want to host a Spark, and then it sets all of the website up for you so people can actually sign up. So I'm just going to show you very quickly what I mean by that. If you register a Spark event as a host, it will then create for you a website automatically, it doesn't take much at all, that looks like this. So someone in Bahrain has set up a Spark event. You can see there's 20 people already attending it. People then upload their presentations. It's all managed in here. So as a host, you get access to all of these presentations. You just simply put the date, where it's going to be hosted at, and the website does the rest for you. And it's a sign-up process. So it's extremely easy to manage and host your own Spark event. So if you're interested in hosting one, please do visit the website, www.sparkevent.me. Host one if you like. If you'd like to come to one before you actually host one, like I said, there's one in Bahrain. We have 2 more potentially scheduled for the end of the year. That's one in Dubai and another one in Doha. So if you're interested, please do visit our website. It'd be great to see some of you there. Hope you enjoyed that. Hope you got something out of it. If you'd like to leave us your contact details, please do, and you can. We'll put you on our mailing list to let you know when there's any Sparks happening in the UAE. Thank you very much.